Welcome to the 2023 Wmata Year in Review. Think of this like Spotify Wrapped, but for DC's main transit provider, Wmata, who runs the Metrorail and Metrobus services. 2023 was a great year for riders of Metro. It's the most rail service they've ever provided in their 47 years of operation, and bus service has fully returned to pre-pandemic schedules. Bus ridership has exceeded pre-pandemic ridership on some weekends, and Metrorail crossed over 50% recovery compared to 2019 levels, hovering around 56% at the end of the year. Metro saw that fare evasion on the rail system was a problem and has done something to mitigate it: larger and stronger fare gates. They've already been installed in some stations and seem to be deterring fare jumping to some extent. First, let's talk about Metrorail. Total number of entries on Metrorail was 103,015,198. That's 43% more than 2022, which had around 72 million. COVID recovery on the Metro is around 56% to 2019 levels in general, and around 52% for weekdays and 86% on weekends. Here you can see how the days are spread out, and it's very obvious that working from home, especially on Monday and Friday, has changed the average commute, and that many people are happy to take the Metro on the weekends for casual activities. Pandemic recovery on Metrobus has been harder to track, with only around 50 to 60% of bus riders paying at the fare box compared to about 70% pre-COVID. The data is harder to comb through, but I'll try to paint an accurate picture. The total fare box entries on Metrobus in 2023 was 62 million. That's about 12% more than 56 million back in 2022. Data from November is the easiest to find and compare. In general, buses were around 110% November 2019 levels, with more riders on the weekend compared to pre-pandemic making up for that. On weekdays, it was around 95% of pre-pandemic levels. Weekends were around 113 of pre-pandemic levels. Very impressive. I did my best to interpret public data from Wmata. If any of you know more than me, please let me know. All right, let's talk about some records this year. The busiest day on the Metro was November 14th. This day, the Metro fare gates saw around 521,000 entries. This was due to the pro-Israel rally at the National Mall that day. Many of the rally-goers made the right decision and did not attempt to drive into the city that day. I feel a bit bad for the ones who did and had to deal with the stress of driving and parking, but if you had 5 people in a car, it's probably cheaper than taking the Metro anyway, so I kinda get it. I did some basic calculations, and around 60,000 of the pro-Israel rally-goers took the Metro, about 20% of the total amount of rally-goers. Speaking of my own experience of going to rallies in DC, in 2010, my dad took the family to the Restoring Honor rally, and we took the Metro from Vienna. As a little kid, it was very fun riding the Metro the few times that I did get the opportunity. Alright, busiest day on Metrobus was November 13th. On this day, the buses saw about 348,000 farebox transactions. This is the day before said pro-Israel rally, so there's a possibility the data isn't perfect and some of the 14th transactions got counted on the 13th. This number should be taken with a grain of salt because November's Wmata snapshot says that the average boardings per weekday was around 365,000. This number is measured with the automatic passenger counter on the buses and counts people who do and do not pay their fare. Only around 60% of people who get on buses pay, which tracks to my anecdotal experience. In short, measuring the Metrobus numbers is difficult. Alright, the busiest Metro rail station on weekdays was Metro Center at 12,644 entries per weekday. And the busiest station on the weekends is Gallery Place at around 8,129 entries. The least busy Metro station was Loudoun Gateway every day of the week with about 258 entries on weekdays and 128 entries on Saturday and Sunday. The busiest Metro line is the Red Line. The Red Line has been the busiest on the system for a while with around 277,000 entries per weekday in 2010. We're around 43% of the way to weekday 2010 levels, so the Red Line most likely gets around 120,000 entries per weekday at the end of 2023. The least used Metro line is the Yellow Line. In 2010, the Yellow Line got about 8% or around 60,000 entries at the time of the daily weekday ridership. If you factor current ridership numbers, you get around 26,000 entries per weekday. The most improved Metro station, not counting the new Silver Line stations, as this was their first full year in operation, was Eisenhower Avenue in South Alexandria. Between November 2022 and 23, the ridership more than doubled here. It skyrocketed 144% of 2022 levels. The busiest bus route, Bus Route 70, gets around 5,000 farebox entries per weekday. But when I was on it in June, almost nobody tapped a card or put in money, so I assume it gets much more than 5,000 boardings per day. I made a whole video about the Bus Route 70 that you can check out right up here. The busiest bus route in Virginia was bus 28A that runs from Tyson's Corner all the way to Alexandria. It gets about 5,000 farebox transactions per weekday, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit higher. Thank you so much for watching this video. This video has been Wmata Wrapped 2023. I hope you enjoyed this little bonus video. More videos coming soon. Have a great day.